I just want to say, I always love these meetings, but I think it's been a particularly fantastic set of speeches and poetry and real sort of clarion call. And on the international aspect of hearing from the sort of fast food rights people from America, it's been really great. But you've got to pinch yourself, haven't you, really? I mean, I'm leaving here to do something that I've been doing for the last 4 days I've never done in my life, which is going on the media to say how great the Labour leader is. When I was at the TUC today, we were doing all these TV interviews and they were sort of saying, oh, he didn't get a very good reception, did he, Jeremy? And I had to point out that, you know, for TUC standards, it was ecstatic. And in case they didn't realise, every TUC I've been to, when the Labour leader has spoken, my delegation, usually along with the RMT, are holding up placards saying no cuts, we should be against the pay freeze, and no war. So what a lovely turnaround it is that today we gave him a standing ovation when he came in, and he had a standing ovation when he went out. And I do think we have to enjoy the moment, but most of all, realise what are we going to do quickly to tap into the opportunities that we've now got that we haven't had before, and what does that mean? And that's just some of the thoughts I wanted to throw out, you know, for a discussion here and in the whole of the movement. I mean, it is a funny old world. You may have known that I'm not a Labour Party member. Let me put my hat on cards on the table. I was invited to leave 22 years ago. I've never been invited back, but I did try and vote in the leadership election. And I was told I couldn't vote because I didn't share the aims and values of the Labour Party. Now, every cloud has a silver lining because that decision meant there was one less vote for Liz Kendall. But I think what we can safely say today is that the aims and values of the leadership of the Labour Party are absolutely ones that I am happy to say now that I share. And I don't know about you, but when Jeremy did his acceptance speech on Saturday, what he said, and there must have been an awful lot of pressure on him. In fact, we know there's been pressure on him over the appointment of John McDonnell. And I just want to say how fantastic it is. I think that he's resisted that pressure. He got up, and far from immediately sort of toning anything down, he said the following things in this order. He started by saying he would oppose the trade union bill. He then said he was against the welfare reform bill for a decent social security system. Then he said refugees are welcome here. Then he said I am for peace and I am against war. And then he said I want to topple austerity and have a fair and more equal society. Well, my God, when did you hear that last from a Labour leader? And I think that and the movement that's got him elected is really giving us such a massive opportunity, because for once there seems to be some hope out there rather than despair. There seems to be the real opportunity for some unity, particularly on the left, which is absolutely notorious because everybody hates each other and nobody can ever get on and have common campaigns. I think there is now an opportunity for people to really unite and to start trying to deliver some change and to inspire people. But what I want to say briefly is that we can't wait for the run-up to 2020 for that to happen. We can't wait for the run-up to 2020 for obvious reasons. One, I don't believe that any general election is won in the last month. I think it matters over what you do and how you campaign over a period. But even more importantly, you know, the effect of waiting until 2020 now is more restrictive anti-trade union laws, tax credit freezes that are going to cost people £2,000 of the lowest pay. In the civil service, 11 consecutive years of pay freezes or pay restraint, and we've got another 3 years of it coming. 86,000 job cuts, privatisation left, right and centre. So you know as well as I know, that's just the things immediately affecting my members, but it means more homelessness, it means an unfair welfare state, more people visiting food banks, and it means the rich get richer while the rest of us suffer. So this is happening every day with the Tories' policies, and we've got to say the best way to get Jeremy to be Prime Minister and to change things as Labour leader is to campaign against those things now and to recognise that what we need is a movement that is outside of Parliament, that is challenging and campaigning and mobilising people, and that movement is going to have, for the first time in ages, will be buoyed and be confident by the fact that the leader and the Chancellor, Shadow Chancellor at the dispatch box will be saying they support strikes. They will be supporting action by disabled activists. They will be supporting those people who are campaigning for a more just Britain. Just imagine the first strike we have, when instead of the Labour leader looking at his shoes all embarrassed, that Jeremy says, do you know what, I support this strike and I'm going to go down the picket line to show them. See, that's going to, I think, really invigorate people. When he came to the TUC today, Jeremy, one of the things he said in his speech, which we were really proud of, is he gave a shout out to the National Gallery strikers, 90 days now on all-out strike, fighting against privatisation and against the sort of disgraceful attack on their jobs, and he said, I support you. And that really gives people a lift. So I think we've got to use these opportunities now to say, right, how are we going to mobilise people in their tens and hundreds of thousands? Well, at the TUC today, we had a debate about the trade union bill, and there was lots of fabulous speeches. Some people offered to go to jail, and others said that they would be defying the law because the bill is unjust. All fantastic. But we proposed a motion to the TUC today that actually said, that's great, but in the here and now, we can have legal strikes across the whole of the country against the government's pay freeze. And we could unite nurses and teachers and civil servants and local government workers, all within the law. And what I would do is it would stop the government's pay policy, and it would really build a movement to ensure that the trade union bill could be defeated. The best way to defeat the trade union bill, it seems to me, is that trade unionists understand how it affects them. And the best way for them to know that is understanding that we need industrial action, and this bill is attempting to try and stop them doing it. So we've got to, in the trade union movement, really mobilise people. As Janina said, there's loads of strikes in the RMT. I can tell you in my own union, we've got members on strike in the Welsh Museums, the Scottish Museums, and the DVLA. That's not me, I hope, is it? Mind you? I think my heart machine's still going, so I'm right. I don't think it is me, really, but anyway. We've got strikes in the Scottish Museum, the Welsh Museum, the DVLA, right? Those strikes, extended strikes, are because low-paid workers are losing all their weekend premiums and having a 20% pay cut. We've got strikes in the RMT, we've got strikes right across on a localised basis. We need to start campaigning and trying to join those up and use the fact that we've now got some political support to really give people inspiration. And therefore, I just want to finish with this point, really. Jeremy said he wanted a different type of politics and that he would ask people by email, did they have any questions for Prime Minister's questions. They told us today he's had 50,000 replies. So that's going to be a long session in Parliament. That's what I said. They said, no, you don't understand, we only get 6. But therefore, these questions are actually going to be derived from what activists and ordinary people actually think. Well, isn't that a really nice change? Yeah. But what we now need to do, I think, when you gather for your conference here in 2 weeks, when hopefully we gather in our hundreds of thousands at the Tory Party conference for the TUC National Demonstration Against Austerity, when the public sector unions finally get their act together and start organising strikes, is we can start saying that that is the type of movement, allied to a very different political vision that is about fairness and equality and against this unjust society that we live in. My view is this: far from Cameron secretly telling people, leaking it out that he thinks it's great that Corbyn has won, actually I think he's whistling to keep his spirits up. Because I think he is terrified of what Jeremy's campaign has unleashed. Because for the last 20 years, there has not been a debate in Britain, in any election, that is the type of debate we'll now have. We won't be talking about changes around the centre of austerity against austerity light. We're going to talk about the rich paying their taxes or the rich getting away with blue murder. The poorest and most vulnerable having a fair social security system or them paying the price for austerity. Public sector workers getting a decent pay rise or being laid off and having 0-hour contracts jobs. Should we have council houses? Should we have homelessness? Should we be environmentally friendly or should we not care about the wrecking of the planet? Should we nationalise the rail and the energy companies or should we let them continue to rip us off? We haven't had that debate in this country for the last 20 years. And I think if we can build a movement, knowing that the Daily Mail and everybody else will be spilling out all the bile, if we build a movement in the communities, if we go back out to every town and city Jeremy visited and get all those people who came back in to say, how are we going to work together to deliver my vision, then we can enthuse people like we have never done before. I think that will mean we'll win lots of campaigns and better sort of outcomes in the here and now, but it also means we can have a radical left government in 2020. And I don't know about you, that makes me do what I've been doing for the last 5 days, smile like I've never smiled before. So have a good meeting.
thanks very much to Mark, and obviously all us Brighton fans